Welcome, guys, to this client case study. Today, I have an amazing client joining us. Her name is Jaci. Jaci, I wanted to take a moment to allow you to introduce yourself and kind of give everybody an idea of what you sell, like what you do specifically, and kind of what your offer looks like. So go ahead and kind of give us an idea of like what specifically you sell and how you're able to help individuals from your offer.
Great. Yeah. So my dad and I became partners in this business right when we launched, right when COVID happened. So about 2 years ago, April 2020, I believe. So right when it all hit. He's had a medical practice for 20 years. He's been in the medical field, and we really found a need for women with PCOS. Now, PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. It affects women's underlying insulin, kind of a form of pre-diabetic to some degree, and it affects their fertility and weight. And the standard of care for them was just very, very poor. And we realized that when he didn't have the time to give them the treatment in clinic, and he couldn't reach women all over the country to give them the care that they deserved because they just were hopeless. And so we decided to go online. So he and I teamed up to offer online programs to educate and empower them through education, and then help coach them and adjust and customize that for them. And so that's when he and I teamed up, where he's the brains behind that. He's become the expert and taught himself to be the expert in PCOS. And then I've got all the CEO stuff as far as technology, because obviously technology is probably not his strong suit. So I come in with the younger generation. He's got all the brain power, and we've come together to offer that to women across the country.
That is fantastic. So specifically, you help women who experience and have problems with PCOS relieve those symptoms and actually make traction in their progress in maybe, completely resolving it, or, in terms of like reducing the symptoms that they're experiencing, right?
Yes, exactly. So they don't necessarily say that there's a cure for PCOS, but it's absolutely possible to live a life where you feel like it's in remission because you know how to manage it. You live a lifestyle that is keeping it managed. So it doesn't feel like you're treating it. You've just learned to live a certain way. A lot of women will, weight loss surgeries or fertility is where they're sent, and they can achieve that without those surgeries. They can have pregnancies, lose the weight without it. And so that's what we're wanting to offer, is a form of remission, and then hope for the biggest factors are getting pregnant and losing all of that weight.
Yeah, absolutely. And JC, just to let you know, coaching and helping out your company, PCOS Solutions, has actually been one of my favorite offers, because it's one of those offers that I never thought I would like actually get into helping you sell and like getting into PCOS and helping women. But it's actually been very incredible for me to see those women go through those transformations and actually relieve a lot of the symptoms and potentially be able to get pregnant and start the family that they've always wanted. So thank you so much for, trusting me enough to invest and allow me to help you and your father in your company. I guess if anybody watching this may be interested in your services, like what's the best way for them to like learn more about PCOS Solutions and what you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a website called solvingpcos.com, where we do have a free webinar that lets somebody know what PCOS is and how it can affect them, what it looks like. For those that are diagnosed or maybe questioning, do I have PCOS? Because a lot of women will go misdiagnosed for a very long time. And we also have a free Facebook group that women can join, Solving the Hot Mess of PCOS with medical expert Jared Bagley. And then just our regular Facebook and Instagram we're under My PCOS Solution.
Fantastic. Well, as you guys heard JC talk about, there are some different ways for you guys to go and learn more about PCOS Solutions. But if you're watching this video today, it's because you might be interested in how Sales Secrets, or my team specifically, could help you as a sales rep or a small business owner improve the amount of income that you're making on a monthly basis by improving your ability to sell and communicate, and even how you think and how your programming is working within yourself as an individual, and how that self-image actually affects your day-to-day performance. So overall, JC, like just to give individuals who might be watching an idea of like why you decided to, move forward with Sales Secrets, I guess what was kind of like the big reason or determining factor that you guys decided to, get some outside help when it came to your sales process and being able to close more deals and help more clients each month?
Yeah. When we started, we did hire somebody who their expertise was helping medical professionals go online, but they helped with the entire process of, everything, building your program, Facebook ads. So sales was a part of it, but it was a smaller portion of it. We followed a sales script. And for a long time, I thought we were okay with sales. And I kind of chalked it up to, oh, they weren't a good fit or they couldn't afford it if I didn't get the sale. But looking at it, we were really at only like a 25%, highest was maybe a 30% close rate. And so as I started to look at it, I really dialed in Facebook ads and learned the other stuff, but sales was one area where I thought maybe I kind of have a blind spot to that. And I'm kind of just, making somewhat of an excuse of like, you know what, 30% is like not what I'm okay with. And more so that I'm letting these women go when I could help them, right? Like I wasn't able to show them, and give them like, help them decide. I wasn't giving them enough to be able to make their decisions on if we could help them. So I was doing a disservice to some of my clients as well by
Yeah.
not asking the right questions and helping them. So I had reached out. I wanted to perfect sales more. I'd reached out to actually some other salespeople. And when I got on my coaching sales call with them, it was some of the most uncomfortable stuff I've sat through, worse than my car sales stuff. Like where I left the call, I was so pressured and uncomfortable. I could just feel that kind of anxiety a little bit on the call where I was like, I have told them no a million times. I just want off this call so bad. And my thought was, I do not want to sell that way. I don't want to do that to my clients. And so I've been exposed to you a little bit here and there through other interactions and groups. And when I saw you were doing your own thing, it stuck out to me so much because I've loved the tone and the energy and the willingness from you and the way that I've seen you interact within Sales Secrets. That's how I want to sell and come across to my clients. And so that ultimately, not even price or anything else, like none of that came into it. It was how you made me feel on a call versus other people. And I wanted my clients to feel the way I felt when I spoke with you.
Well, it's interesting that you say that as well, JC, because I haven't always been this way. Like when I first started in sales, I was kind of taught to be pushy. I was taught the tactics. I was taught that if I wasn't pushing people, then it wasn't serving them, right? Well, after doing that for a couple years, I just started to notice that I ended every single one of my like sales day or one of my work days just feeling emotionally drained because I was always like fighting my prospects. But now I have a completely different style of how I approach these interactions and how to really help individuals like you succeed in your specific business, in your offer, or as an individual sales rep. So I'm glad that you mentioned that because that's a huge thing that I focus on as a sales trainer and specifically a sales programmer is I want you guys to understand that you don't have to be a jerk to be good at sales. You don't have to be pushy. You don't have to be egotistical. You can actually be a very nice guy. And that's kind of what like the label that people give me is like, I'm the too nice guy. And there are times that may not serve me, but overall I found that that's created lifelong relationships with my clients who continually come back anytime that they need help collecting more income or improving their ability to close and actually sell. So I really appreciate you mentioning that, JC. But what would you say has kind of like been the biggest benefit to you personally from actually investing into Sales Secrets and allowing me to come into your company, work through your sales process and help you guys really improve overall when it comes to your sales? What has been the biggest benefit for you?
Yeah. So I'll touch base on kind of our close rate and financials, but some of the bigger stuff too is my own self-discovery in sales because our stuff that we're dealing with personally shows up in all aspects of our life. And so it's cool to be able to dig deep into my own stuff and find where it may be coming out in my sales or where I might be giving off an annoyed, like I'm annoyed, so I'm giving off that energy. There's so many things that we think we hide better than we do, and it comes off in our business. And so digging deep into what some of my past things are, and I really thought that I had done a lot of that work, and there's always more work to be done. So I love the personal development aspect of it, of finding my brain, my triggers, and what thoughts have become subconscious to me that I'm not consciously aware of. And then, so that's been like my own personal, but as far as our sales go, like, going from the 15th even of this month. So last week, my husband was gone for 10 days, means we don't have childcare. So my kids were with me the whole time,
Right.
less time to take calls, like just a crazy time. I've had 8 calls since the 15th and I've closed 6 of them. So I had a 75% close rate in the busiest, most stressful time. But that was such a win for me because my time was so limited to be on the phone with somebody. So I could only take 8 calls over that time. So to close 6 of them was just huge, regardless of what packages, money, all of that. To get a 75% close rate for my time I had for that week was huge. My time was so much better spent being able to close those deals.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to first of all say kudos to you. You're the one that like put in the work. You're the one who's been dedicated. You've showed up to our one-on-one trainings every single week. You show up with questions. You're always using our one-on-one chat, and really you're just soaking up as much help as you can. So like kudos to you, JC, for like being willing to put in the work. But I love how you mentioned more of like the mental programming side of what we do. So if you guys are watching this client case study and you're wondering like, what is Sales Secrets all about? Well, a lot of individuals look at me as a sales trainer, but I actually consider myself a sales programmer. What that means, I've been highly trained in what's known as neuro-linguistic programming, and I'm an NLP practitioner. It's a fancy word and it's a fancy training and certification process that you can go through that helps you just better understand human psychology, human behavior, and how our language and self-image affects that. So because of that training, one of the huge things that I focus on that JC mentioned is I actually dive deep into her self-image and potential limiting beliefs, values, and areas where she may not feel completely congruent in her life and how that's affecting her in a sales setting. Now, a lot of sales reps and business owners, small business owners and CEOs that I work with, a lot of times we're attracted to like the tactical tricks and like tools that we can use. Of course, I've taught that to JC and we've gone through how to improve her process. She's amazing at asking emotional questions and helping her clients feel that they need to take action and that they can actually trust in her and her company to move forward. But outside of that, we went really deep into looking at how can I help her feel as confident and certain in her as an individual and as a sales rep. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that, JC. And you also mentioned your results. That's incredible. 75% close compared to like in the past when you were closing about 20 to 30%. How do you see that difference, right? So like compared to like closing 20 to 30% per month to now being able to close upwards of 50, 60, or 75%, how do you see that actually making a difference on you, like personally though?
Yeah, for me, it's because I will, like I kind of mentioned, my time on the phone is so much more valuable. Where if I'm only closing 30%, that's a lot of phone calls that I'm on the phone for a half hour, 45 minutes, and then that time's just gone. So what that allows me to do is put more time back into my business on the other end, coaching my clients, giving them the best value so they want to stay longer, working on Facebook ads, whatever that is, because that's one of the biggest things I realize, even in us just talking right now. Only 20%, that's a lot of phone calls and time spent that just don't, for really no reason. Maybe some practice if I want to act like, but that's a lot of time, and time is so important to me right now because like I said, my kids are home and like I have little windows to get on the phone. So if I can make that work, it's huge for my personal life and then of course my business.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, JC. And that's a huge benefit why I encourage, CEOs, sales reps to look into getting training. Like I remember a few years ago, I had never had a one-on-one trainer before. I had never gone deep into sales training or NLP. And then when I did, it was like this whole new world of possibility opened up to me. Where in the past, I thought that closing 20, 25% of my interactions was great. But now being able to close 60, 70, potentially 80% on a monthly basis, it's like now I can spend half as much time working and make the same amount of money, or I can keep working the same amount and double my income. So it's a huge impact on individual sales reps as well as business owners. And I guess just kind of to wrap everything up, because we've really appreciated you coming on today, JC, and sharing your personal testimony and your client, case study. But what would be like your biggest like sales advice? Obviously, you tell people to work with me, but what would be like some general advice, or maybe something that I've taught you personally that's made the biggest difference when it came to like your sales performance?
One of the biggest things I think that helped me from the beginning of the month to right now is I was working way too hard on the phone to try to frame myself as some expert. So it was just like this huge explaining lecture.
Right.
People want to have conversation and feel and go through like realizing where they're at and where they want to be and how important that is to them. And I was spending too much time explaining to them why I know all this science, where that's not necessarily what they're looking for right now. Once they're in the program, we can get into all that. But on the phone, I'm just giving them a lecture where they're like, okay, cool, but I don't even know what I want, right? Like I don't even know, some of them don't even know what they're looking for. So to help them first off even decide what they're looking for has been a game changer the past few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like JC mentioned, guys, everything that I teach you, like one of the specific things that we would go through if you decided to work with me one-on-one or even work in sales secrets in a group setting, one of the things that's really important to me is teaching you how to ask proper questions to your potential clients in a way that opens them up and works with human psychology and human behavior rather than shutting them down and making them feel like you're just like consultative selling or asking them, you know, like a whole bunch of Q&A answers that aren't like a conversation. Whenever we do this in a sales process, it typically like builds up walls and barriers between us and our potential clients, and it ruins that authenticity and also that rapport, making it a lot harder to help people make decisions and do what's best for them moving forward. So great advice, JC. I'm so glad that you have learned so much. You have transformed over the last few months, and I cannot thank you enough for trusting in Sales Secrets and in me to help you get to this next level. And so you guys, if you would like to learn more about Sales Secrets, there's a few different ways that you can learn more and start improving your ability to close and to collect more income. Now, whether you're a sales rep, a CEO, a business owner, or a serial entrepreneur, these are skill sets that are going to pay you time and time again. And the way that you guys can learn more is number one, by joining our free Facebook group, where I go live on a weekly basis to train on simple techniques that you can use to improve your ability to close more deals and collect more income. That Facebook group is called Sales Secrets, and I'll also leave the link down below this specific video. Outside of that, if you would like to speak to me directly or schedule a call so that I can look more into what you're currently doing in your sales process, what your goals and really what you want to accomplish might look like, then you can schedule that call down below. You'll find the link to my calendar so that you can select a time that works best for you. And we can really dive deeper into your situation and how we could potentially help. So once again, thank you so much, JC, for taking the time and for sharing your specific story.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for everything you've helped us with.
Yeah, no problem. All right, see you guys.